All right, so get this, listeners. Today, we're going deep on BLC-1.
Oh yeah, below C1.
Remember that signal? The one kicked up by the Breakthrough Listen project.
The one that had everyone thinking aliens.
Exactly. The one that seemed like it could be coming from Proxima Centauri.
Our near-star neighbor.
Yeah. We're going to break down what happened with that signal, what it was all about, and, you know what it means for the search for alien life out there.
Yeah, it was a big deal for sure.
It was.
I mean, Proxima Centauri is already super interesting because we already know there's at least one planet there.
Right.
Proxima b, which could have liquid water, maybe.
Potentially habitable.
Exactly. So when Bill C1 showed up, people were really hoping it was a sign of some kind of technology coming from that planet.
I remember those headlines. It was all over the news, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But what was it about this signal? What made it so different from all the usual space noise?
It boils down to the specific kind of signal they were looking for.
Okay.
Bill and C1 was what we call narrowband,
Narrowband.
meaning it was super focused on a tiny slice of frequencies,
Oh, I see.
less than 4 hertz wide.
Wow.
You can imagine, like, if you're trying to find a radio station and you find one with almost no static at all.
Crystal clear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's really unusual, especially out in the vastness of space.
Like finding a needle in a haystack of radio waves.
Exactly. And to make things even more weird,
More weird, yeah.
this signal was drifting,
Drifting.
meaning the frequency was changing a little bit over time,
Oh.
like it was moving.
So it's like a super focused signal, but then it's also like on the move.
Yep.
I can see why that would get the SETI folks excited.
Yeah.
But before we jump to aliens, though, I know they were very careful to make sure that this wasn't some kind of interference, from Earth.
Oh, for sure. They didn't want to be fooled by some random signal from, like, a cell phone tower.
Yeah, or a passing satellite.
Exactly. So they started by checking if there were any known transmitters on Earth that used that same frequency.
Right.
And it turned out that part of the radio spectrum is mostly used for, like, aircraft communication and stuff.
Okay.
So that wasn't an easy answer.
So they had to dig a little deeper, huh? What did they do?
They went full detective mode.
Okay.
They compared BLC-1's characteristics to all sorts of potential interference sources.
Oh, right.
Everything from satellites to ground-based transmitters.
Okay.
Think of it like a cosmic Where's Waldo, but with radio waves.
With radio waves. Yeah.
Instead of strikes and glasses.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
And no match, by the way.
Really?
They carefully mapped out the drift patterns of all those possible interference sources.
Mm-hmm.
None of them lined up with BLC-1's unique, fingerprint.
You have like a one-of-a-kind signal.
Yeah, really started to stand out from the crowd.
Okay, this is where I'm getting really interested. You mentioned that BLC-1 seemed to, disappear.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever the telescope wasn't pointed directly at Proxima Centauri,
That's right.
that's got to be a pretty big clue, right?
Yeah, that's one of those, classic signs
Mm-hmm.
that a signal might actually be coming from a specific object in space
Okay.
and not just like random interference, bouncing around Earth.
It's like it was playing hide and seek with the telescope or something.
Kinda, yeah.
Mm.
The researchers were observing Proxima Centauri, in 30-minute blocks,
Right.
and then they'd spend 5 minutes pointing the telescope somewhere else to check for interference.
Okay. Yeah.
But BLC-1 only showed up during those 30-minute windows
Wow.
when they were locked on Proxima Centauri.
So it was only there when they were looking directly at Proxima Centauri.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's put this all together. A super focused signal,
Yeah.
drifting in frequency like it's moving, and seemingly tied to our nearest star.
Right.
No wonder they wanted to take a closer look. What happened next? What did they do?
Well, this is where they brought out the big guns. They had this new tool
Okay.
called a Technosignature verification framework.
Hold on. A Technosignature verification framework.
Yeah.
Did they come up with this specifically for BLC-1?
You know what? BLC-1 actually forced them to develop this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because before this, there wasn't really a good step-by-step way to analyze signals like this.
I see.
And it showed them that they needed a much more, rigorous way of looking at this.
So they needed, a better process to figure out if this signal was truly alien.
Yeah, or just our own technology kind of messing with us.
Our tech playing tricks on us.
Yeah.
So BLC-1 was like the ultimate test subject
Exactly.
for this whole framework. And so now they use this framework anytime they're evaluating a signal.
Yeah, for any future signals that might hint at extraterrestrial technology, it's like their cosmic detective handbook.
All right, so let's open up the handbook. What's in it? What kind of tests and analyses are we talking about here?
It's basically looking at every little detail of a signal.
Okay.
making sure there's absolutely no other possible explanation besides aliens.
No other explanation.
Right, right. And that's a tall order, I know. They have to make sure the instruments are working right, that there's no obvious source of interference, but it's way, way more than that.
It sounds really in depth. So it's not just finding a weird signal, it's about proving it can't be anything else.
Exactly. And one of the key things is they analyze the signal's drift pattern.
Drift pattern, right?
And they compare it not just to, like, the expected movement of a transmitter if it was actually in the Proxima Centauri system, but also to the behavior of all those human-made signals they've already cataloged.
Right, all those drift maps.
Yeah, exactly. That's a huge part of it.
So they're saying, okay, if this is really from Proxima Centauri, it should drift like this and not like that.
That's it. That's a great way to put it.
They're clever. But I bet they didn't stop there, did they? Did they look for Ball C1 like in any other observations, like previous data?
You know it. They dug through years of data
Really?
from the Parkes-Murayang radio telescope, looking for any signs of Ball C1 or even similar signals
Okay.
in past observations.
So they wanted to see if this thing had a history, basically. Like, did it pop up before, maybe when they were looking at a completely different part of the sky?
Exactly. It was all about trying to find those hidden clues, anything that could really explain this signal.
Yeah.
And that's where the investigation takes a very unexpected turn.
Oh, I knew there was a twist coming. What happened? What did they find?
They found a whole bunch of other signals
What?
that looked a lot like BLC1.
Really?
These lookalikes.
Lookalikes.
Yeah, they had some of the same key features, especially those weird frequency drifts.
Oh, wow. So there were more signals out there acting like BLC1. Were they all coming from the direction of Proxima Centauri, too?
And that's the interesting part.
Okay.
They weren't. These lookalikes were showing up all over the place across a wide range of frequencies. And they weren't tied to any particular object out there in space.
That's really strange. So we've got multiple mystery signals on our hands now. Did the scientists think that maybe they were picking up like some kind of alien radio chatter?
They had to rule it out. So they dove deep into analyzing these lookalikes,
Okay.
really carefully studying their frequencies and those, telltale drift patterns. And guess what they found?
I'm dying to know. What did they find?
They found this surprising connection
Okay.
between BLC1, its lookalikes, and something you probably use every day.
Something I use every day.
Yeah. Common clock oscillator frequency.
Clock oscillators.
Yeah, the kind used in digital electronics.
Wait a minute, are you serious? You're telling me all those headlines, all that buzz about first contact, all those theories about, alien messages, it was our own gadgets.
Well, that's what the evidence seemed to be saying. And the story doesn't stop there, of course.
Of course not.
They had to figure out exactly how our everyday electronics could create a signal that looks so much like something from, another world.
Like an alien civilization.
Yeah.
So wait, are you telling me VLC-1 was like a cosmic prank?
Yeah.
From our own technology? How does that even happen?
Yeah. Our tech really played a trick on us. Turns out the signal wasn't just like a simple copycat of one single frequency, though.
Okay, yeah.
It was probably a combo of signals, like interacting with each other. It's called intermodulation.
Intermodulation.
Yeah. You could think of it kind of like two musicians playing different notes, but then unintentionally, they create this third note together, like an unexpected one.
Oh, so it's like musical interference, but with radio waves instead of instruments.
Exactly. And, well, in this case, the musicians were probably electronic devices.
Huh.
Maybe a whole bunch of them even. And their signals got all mixed up in a way that it produced a signal that mimicked what we thought was coming from, a super distant alien civilization.
Wow, that's crazy. So we're talking about like a technological illusion, like a cosmic mirage almost.
Yeah, in a way. It shows us how ridiculously complex the radio frequency environment is, around Earth.
Right.
And that complexity, well, it can create signals that at first glance, you can't tell them apart from something that might actually be coming from a totally alien source.
It's amazing how that can happen. It's kind of a bummer that BLC-1 wasn't an alien beacon, right?
Yeah.
It is.
But the fact that our own technology can create these mimics, these convincing copies, that's kind of mind-blowing too.
It really is. It reminds us of the challenges that SETI researchers face, right?
Yeah.
I mean, finding a weird signal, that's just step one.
Right.
The real work is figuring out, okay, is this a real technosignature? Or is this just our tech messing with us?
Right. Just a side effect of all our amazing tech.
Yeah, of our increasingly noisy technological world.
So where does all of this leave us in our search for extraterrestrial intelligence? I mean, is the whole BLC-1 thing, does it set us back at all?
No, not at all. If anything, it's a huge step forward.
Really?
Yeah. Remember that Technosignature verification framework?
Yeah, yeah.
BLC-1 was like the ultimate test for
It
it.
was like the guinea pig. Yeah. It pushed it to the limits. And it helped the researchers really, really refine their methods for analyzing these signals.
So even though it wasn't the outcome that everyone wanted, it was still a huge learning experience.
Exactly.
It kind of helped us out in the long run.
Yeah. The whole BLC-1 thing really showed us how important that super rigorous signal verification is.
Okay.
It forced us to create these new tools,
Yeah.
new strategies to analyze, potential technosignatures in this world where, well, the radio spectrum is just getting more and more crowded.
More and more crowded, yeah. So it's like we're learning from our mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Or in this case, our technology's accidental tricks.
You got it. And all that knowledge.
Yeah.
It helps us avoid those same pitfalls in the future.
Mm-hmm.
The whole BLC-1 story, even though it didn't end the way, we wanted, it's made us much, much better at identifying and examining, future signals.
Future signals, yeah.
That might actually be extraterrestrial.
That might actually be the real deal.
Yep.
So BLC-1, it might have been a false alarm, but it wasn't a waste of time.
Not at all.
It helped us get a little closer to finding the real deal, out there.
That's what I think, yeah. But here's the question, though.
Okay, hit me.
If seemingly alien signals can just appear, just from our own tech,
Yeah.
what does that tell us about how hard it is to find signals from other civilizations? How do we, in this crazy, noisy universe, how do we know what's interference from Earth and what's, a genuine hello from ET?
That's a really good question. And I bet it's one that the SETI researchers are thinking about, all the time. Because if we can accidentally create these signals that look like alien technology, what about other civilizations, ones that are even more advanced than us?
Yeah, exactly. What if they're doing the same thing?
Wow.
It adds this whole new layer to the search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
It does.
Maybe we're not just listening for, those messages beamed directly at us on purpose.
Right.
Maybe we should also be looking for, the whispers of their technology.
The unintentional signals.
Accidental ones, yeah.
So we're not just eavesdropping on conversations anymore. It's more like we're trying to pick out whispers in a really crowded room.
That's a good way to put it. It's about learning to filter out the noise and focus on those super faint signals, the ones that could be something truly extraordinary.
Wow. So the search for extraterrestrial intelligence just got a whole lot more complicated,
Yeah,
but also way more exciting.
it is.
It's like we've entered this new era of SETI where the possibilities are they're wider than we ever imagined.
I think so too. And, as we develop these new technologies, as we get better at, fine-tuning our methods, who knows what we might find out there in this whole cosmic symphony. The universe, well, it's full of surprises.
It is.
And maybe, just maybe, one of those surprises will finally answer that question. Are we alone?
That's the big question. I love that, by the way, the Cosmic Symphony.
Yeah.
It really does. It captures that sense of wonder and mystery that surrounds, this whole search.
It does.
So BLC-1, it might have been a false alarm, but it wasn't a waste. It gave us something.
Yeah, it did.
A better understanding of, how our technology is affecting our search for alien life.
Yeah, it's like this awareness.
Yeah.
And that's essential as we, continue to explore, continue to search. We need to be able to tell what's ours and what might actually be another civilization's.
Well, after this deep dive, I am even more fascinated by this whole thing. I'm even more fascinated by the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. What happens next? Where do we go from here?
Well, I think first and foremost, the whole BLC-1 investigation, it just shows how powerful collaboration can be in science.
Yeah.
This wasn't just one person working alone.
Right.
It was a huge team, a global team of scientists, engineers, data analysts, all working together trying to figure out this cosmic mystery. And I think that kind of teamwork, it's essential if we really want to answer the big question.
It's like science is not a solo sport, is it?
It's not, no. It takes a lot of different minds, all with different expertise.
Right, to solve these kinds of problems.
Yeah, exactly. And it also shows us how important transparency is and open data.
Oh, yeah, open science.
The Breakthrough Listen project made all their data public. So anyone who has the skills and, the curiosity can check out the findings.
Yeah.
Can help us out. in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
I love that. It's like we're all part of this big cosmic detective
I
story,
like that. I like it.
trying to put the pieces together and solve the mystery.
That's great. And the BLC-1 saga was a pretty good chapter in that story,
Oh,
right?
yeah, it was a good one.
It may not have given us the answer we were looking for, but it taught us a lot along the way. It's going to help us make even more incredible discoveries, in the future.
Well said. And who knows what those discoveries might be,
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Maybe the next signal will be the one that changes everything, the one that finally tells us, yes, we're not alone in the universe.
Fingers crossed.
Until then, the search goes on.
He does.
Well, that's it for this week's deep dive. We hope you enjoyed this journey with us, this journey into the world of SETI research. Until next time, keep looking up and never stop wondering.
And never stop wondering.
It's pretty wild, We started this whole deep dive thinking about signals from some distant star,
Yeah.
but we ended up learning a ton about our own tech and its impact on, how we search for alien life. Kind of poetic, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's a good reminder. Like, we're not just watching the universe, right?
Right.
We're a part of it. We're active in it. And our actions, they matter. Even on a cosmic scale. I mean, think about it. If our current tech can create these false alarms, what happens as it gets, more and more advanced?
Yeah, won't it just be harder and harder to find the real deal? With
Yeah.
all the noise.
That's something that SETI researchers are already thinking about for sure. Exploring new ways to filter out all that interference.
Right.
To look for signals in different parts of the spectrum, less crowded spots.
Okay, so it's like this constant game of cat and mouse. Yeah.
As our tech grows, the challenges of finding, those other civilizations, it gets harder too.
Exactly. It's dynamic. It's changing. That's part of what makes it exciting.
Right. Yeah.
It's not just pointing a telescope up and, crossing your fingers.
Hoping for the best.
It's constantly pushing the limits, developing these new techniques, refining how we understand the universe and, our place in it.
I'm also curious about the flip side of all this.
Okay.
We can accidentally make these signals that look alien, right?
Right.
Doesn't that mean other civilizations could be doing the same thing?
It's possible, yeah. What if some of those signals, the ones we're picking up,
Yeah.
are actually just leakage
Right.
from their technology?
Yeah, intentional.
Totally. Imagine it like overhearing your neighbor's music through the wall,
Right.
but on a cosmic scale.
So maybe instead of looking for that giant beacon that's shouting, we are here.
Yeah.
We should be listening for the quiet hum of their everyday tech. That's it. It opens up a whole new way of looking at things.
It does.
Instead of just searching for messages, right?
Mm-hmm.
We might be able to detect these whispers of their civilization just by accident.
I love that idea. It's like we're cosmic archaeologists.
Yeah.
Digging through all that tech stuff, looking for those remnants of activity.
Great analogy.
Yeah.
And it shows us how important it is to stay open to new things, new ideas in SETI.
Be open-minded.
Yeah. We can't limit ourselves to just one kind of signal, one way of thinking.
This has been amazing. This deep dive has really changed how I think about SETI. It's not just about aliens saying hi. It's about understanding this huge universe and figuring out if we're alone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's this journey, right?
It is.
And every piece of info, every new thing we learn,
Yeah.
it gets us closer to understanding this crazy universe
Yeah.
and the chance that life is out there.
Well, this about wraps it up for today's deep dive. It's
Yeah.
been pretty amazing. Lots of twists and turns. I've learned so much. Thanks for joining me.
Happy to be here.
And of course, to everyone listening, thanks to you too. Keep looking up. Keep those questions coming.
Keep exploring.
Never know what you might find, right? Until next time, stay curious.